Hey guys, welcome back to round 24 of Inside the Clinch. My name is Eric, and this week I'm joined again by Pulat. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. For those that are wondering, Johnny's not missing because of the vaccine. He's doing well. He's just got some finals going on with in dental school, so wishing him the best of luck on that again.
NYU dentistry.
Hell yeah! Any fighters get their teeth knocked out, you're gonna have somebody to call in a couple of years. So we have a lot of things going down the last couple of weeks. We know we missed last week, so we want to touch on some just some results that's panned out over the last couple of weeks. One of the first things I want to get to is Diego Sanchez. He's parted ways with the UFC. Very interesting situation with what's happening here. His manager seems to be getting involved and making a lot of problems for Diego and his team when it comes to any kind of negotiations with the UFC. To what I understand, the UFC tried to get some kind of medical forms of Diego's, medical history just to make sure he's clear since he was coming to the end of his career. And for whatever reason, they don't want to provide that. And that eventually led to Diego being released. I don't know if you saw the video that surfaced of Diego training with his coach. Did you see that?
Yeah, so that's when he hangs upside down and he gets hit for like 20 minutes.
Dude, that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Like, that looked like they were just on some drugs. I don't know what they were training for, what kind of, I don't know, brainwash stuff that he keeps telling Diego. I don't know how Diego's following this guy, but just seeing that video, I'm just like, what the hell is going on?
I mean, I always knew that Diego was a little not there, but after seeing this video, after seeing everything that happened with his manager, you start to realize what it's his whole career. He got hit in the head a lot of times over the years, so
Yeah.
brain damage is real.
17 years he was fighting in the UFC. That's a long career. Unbelievable. He has a great legacy with the UFC. He was the original Ultimate Fighter champion. He's fought some of the best names in the company over his years. So it's sad to see that this ended on such bad terms. It seems like Dana White tried, I guess, save that relationship as much as he can. We did see that he gave Diego his show and win money. Not he didn't just kick Diego to the streets. He gave him whatever money, as much money as he could have legally to give Diego before he set him on his way. But it's kind of a shame to see a legend leave on these terms.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that manager, coach, whatever he is, he's batshit crazy. That dude is fucking nuts.
Yeah, I don't know how he brainwashed Diego Sanchez. I don't know if he's offering him something on the side. I don't know if they got any kind of a special relationship going on the side, but everyone I think agrees that this guy is bad for Diego's career.
Diego said he even like doesn't talk to his family anymore because they don't agree with everything that's going on and everything. It's a fucking
Yeah,
stupid situation.
it's insane. But I think the most upsetting part about this, I think, was how it affected this past weekend's card. So originally, Diego Sanchez was supposed to fight Cowboy. As we just mentioned, that fight got pulled off. And to replace Sanchez, they had Alex Morono step in against Cowboy Cerrone. Now, Alex Morono is a young up-and-coming stud. As we saw, Cowboy got a TKO loss again. This is his sixth fight without a win, which is pretty bad. But I feel like the fight with Diego would have gone much differently. I feel like them two at that age, it was kind of a perfect matchup. They're both crazy styles, both well-rounded. They have striking, they have ground game. I think it would have been a great fight, especially, two older guys that have been in the game.
Yeah,
When you throw a younger guy into the mix, that changes a lot of the game plan. And unfortunately, Cowboy lost again.
yeah. And Cowboy's Cowboy. He's gonna take the fight. He's gonna fight, and he doesn't really. I mean, he can wrestle, but he doesn't really take the fight to the ground. He's gonna stand and scrap. And he got caught again.
Yeah, a lot of people are, calling for him to retire. But if I can just read down the losses that he's had, because they aren't to any bums. He had a second round KO loss to Tony. He got knocked out by Justin Gaethje. He lost to Conor McGregor. A unanimous decision loss to Pettis. A draw against Nico Price, which it would have gone Nico's way if Nico didn't get a point deducted for the eye pokes. And then this last loss against Alex Morono. So Tony Gaethje and Connor, all studs. Pettis is former champion, another stud. Nico Price and Alex Morono are two young guys coming up, so they may not be the biggest names and have the biggest resumes, but they're definitely no bums that are just stepping into the cage. So I don't know. Do you think he should quit? Do you think he should just take a step down in competition? What do you think is in
I
the
heard Dana. I heard Dana say yesterday he's giving him one more fight.
Yep.
155. Which honestly shows you that, like, you take someone like Woodley, who lost 4 in a row, and he never really had a great relationship with the UFC. And after, it doesn't seem like he's fighting for the UFC again. And Cowboy, after 6 fights without a win, still getting another shot because Cowboy always stepped up, short notice, late replacement, didn't really matter. So it shows you having a good relationship with them goes a long way.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons I became a Cowboy fan when I was young is, I mean, this guy was fighting all the time. And like you just said, anytime Dana would call up, he would say, yes, sure, no problem. He doesn't care when it is, where it is. As long as he can make the weight, he's down to fight and step into the octagon. And we've seen him bounce between 170 and 155 throughout his career. But it looks like what he said this past weekend was that the 170 pounders hit pretty damn hard. So he wants to take it back down to 155. We did see he did have that Dad Cerrone run at 155 where he had his lucky streak.
Yeah.
And I don't think age is the issue here. I think he might need to step down a level of competition. I think he needs to fight someone ranked outside top 10 in either weight class. But I don't know if I want to see him retire. Like I said, this is a guy that's always been ready to show up and fight. And that's, for me at least, I love that in a fighter.
Who would you want him to fight?
I think Nick Diaz makes a great. I don't know if that at 155. I think I might want to see that at 170. But
yeah, Nick's not making 155.
Yeah, no, but I mean, the two of them, it's another similar situation with Diego Sanchez. They're both very well rounded. They're both, similar places in age. Although Cowboy has been more active, Nick Diaz seems like he wants to come back. Dana seemed to shut down the idea of Khamzat, which I think is great for the safety of Diaz. But I think if we want to see how Diaz is still performing, why don't we throw him in with another OG like Cowboy, see how he performs?
Because his ego is too big. Because they think they're the best in the world, and they're not going to fight somebody coming off 6 losses or whatever, winless in his last 6 fights. Even Nate saying, "Oh, I only want to fight somebody off a win. I only want to fight somebody off a long winning streak." That's why he's fighting Leon Edwards.
It's hard to make that argument when you're not active. Nate can make that argument because he's been active at least, but Nick we haven't seen in quite a few years, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I'm sure for him, it's like he wants to fight just to fight. It's not about really money at this point. It's not about his legacy. He just wants to scrap, I feel. And if he's not going to get a fight with somebody that he wants to fight, I don't think he'll fight.
Who do you think would match up good for a Cowboy's last fight?
Cowboy. I mean, at 155, I wouldn't mind seeing him against somebody like maybe a Kevin Lee. It's a big fight, 2 big names. I know Kevin Lee still. He's also coming off an injury. Yeah, he's coming off an injury, or maybe even Ally Quinta.
That's a great idea. I like that one too. Ally Quinta is a great fight. Cowboy actually has a decision win from him in 2019, but I think that's a great fight to run back. That was a great banger. We had 3 rounds, I believe it was. Sorry, 5 rounds. 5 rounds of just banging action, and I would love to watch that again. All right, so some more results this past weekend. We had Neal Magny getting a big win over Geoff Neal. This fight was initially postponed, but we got it. We finally got to see how the match played out. Neal Magny, he made a dominant statement. He got a very big win. And following that big win, Khamzat is calling out Neal Magny. Neal Magny says he's more than open to fighting Khamzat, but he's not exactly willing to wait until his health gets better. So we hope Khamzat rests up soon and potentially see that matchup.
I mean, from what I hear Khamzat is going to be ready in the summer.
Let's go.
So I think the timing aligns. I think it's a good fight. I mean, Khamzat needs to step up in competition. He can't be beating bums anymore.
Yep.
And I mean, I guess you can call Neal Magny a gatekeeper, but I picked Geoff Neal to win the fight. I was surprised.
I agree. I thought Geoff Neal would be a little stronger, and I agree.
Yeah, more of that up and comer. I thought it was his time. He had a tough fight against Wonderboy. He lost that fight, but I thought Neal Magny was a good test for him. He's maybe a little step back in competition now after this, but I feel like Khamzat should fight the gatekeeper and see if he can pass. And if he can beat Neal Magny, I mean, then sky's the limit pretty much. You're with the top dogs after that.
Hey, I think he deserves that. Did you hear his plan for the rest of 2021?
Yeah, fighting 4 times, fucking crazy.
Yeah, September 170. What was it? October 185, November 170, December 185. And Dana said he's down to offer him that if he can make it. So I'm excited for the end of 2021 if Khamzat comes back, man.
That's your guy.
That's my boy. So yeah, we hope Khamzat recovers well. We know he is recovering from residual COVID symptoms. I guess we haven't heard any good news or bad news, so I don't know exactly where we stand, but
no news is good news at this point.
At this point, exactly. So Khamzat, we hope to see you back soon. In other news, Verdum had his PFL debut last week, which ended up in a very controversial loss. Verdum had Renan Fajeda in a triangle choke, was holding it, and I actually didn't notice this either, but apparently Fajeda tapped on Fabricio's shoulder during the exchange, and the ref didn't stop it, and Fajeda then started, throwing punches from the top, which eventually resulted in a TKO stoppage, and he won the fight. Now, I didn't notice this, but when they showed it on replay, it was a clear tap. It was 2 taps, but the referee was on the other side, so he missed it. I don't know, a disappointing way, I guess, for Verdum to go out on his PFL debut. Very disappointing. What were your thoughts on that?
I think 2 things. I did think he tapped. I saw the 2 taps in slow motion. In real time, it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
He tapped, but I also don't think Verdum really let go after that.
Yeah, we saw him looking up, but he didn't really. I don't think he let go.
He was still fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he tapped, but Verdum didn't really let go, and then he got pounded out. So it's like, I mean, I guess no contest is the right decision.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised they overturned it that quickly. I mean, fucking 3 days passed and they already overturned it.
So New Jersey Athletic Commission overruled that, which, like you said, was very surprising. Usually these things take at least a month or 2 at the very least to get something overturned. But I'm curious where this puts him in the PFL standings. It's a point-based system. So
they both got 1 point.
Oh, it was 1 point each?
Yeah, so they both got 1 point and they're like tied for 4th place or something like that.
So there's going to be some urgency for the 2 of them for their next fight in the PFL. So they're going to have to get a quick finish if they're hoping to make it to the next round.
Yeah, heavyweight is stacked over there.
Yeah, they have a lot of big boys. PFL's a great organization. I really like how it's structured, and I think this year especially we can see a big change in how big the names are in the organization. And I just think it's going to keep growing from here. I feel like there's a lot more eyes on it this year, and I think that'll be great for their growth. And I think over the years to come, they'll just acquire bigger and better names, and you never know, maybe they'll compete with the UFC.
A lot of people don't even know about, like, I mean, we know them, but they're not big names. Like Pettis had a loss.
Yep.
In his PFL debut. Kayla Harrison's the GOAT, obviously. And Rory had a good showing also.
Yes, very dominant performance.
Yeah. So a lot of names. I'm excited to see Clarissa Shields.
Yep.
See how she makes that transition into MMA.
Her and Kayla, man, that's a fight that I can't wait to see.
Easy work.
So, speaking of old UFC fighters, we also had Rumble Johnson make his Bellator debut this past week. He got a huge, big knockout win over Jose Augusto. Did you get a chance to watch that fight?
Yeah, I did. It got a little dicey for him in the beginning.
Yep.
A little closer than I expected, and then he took care of business. But I think the big news of that, this motherfucker got arrested 30 minutes after.
Yeah, so let's get to that in a second. I think Rumble looked amazing for the time that he spent out of the gym, for as big as he got. First of all, I did not expect him to be able to cut down to light heavyweight ever again, seeing how big that he got. So, kudos to him for dropping that weight. And even the way he moves and the way he physically looked, it doesn't look like he aged a bit, like he had any time outside the ring. Like he was moving well. His speed was on point. His power was on point. I thought he started off the round well, and then, like you mentioned, he did almost get finished by Augusto towards the end of the first round. But Augusto broke his hand in the middle of the first round. There was a punch that landed over Johnson's head, and it looked like it broke his hand, and that kind of looked like it did damage for the
Have you seen that hand?
Not afterwards, no.
That head.
Oh, the head, yeah. Dude, that thing is huge. But yeah, he got a huge knockout punch at the second round, put him out, and that was that. But yeah, like you said, he got arrested at Mohegan Sun right after the fight. Holy
30
shit.
minutes later. Why would you come to Bellator knowing that all their fights are in Connecticut when you have a arrest warrant out in that state? It's fucking crazy.
That's crazy. So for those that didn't hear, he was detained at Mohegan Sun and charged with identity theft after an illegal credit card purchase was made for a round plane trip from New Jersey to Florida. So there was another Anthony Johnson, but not Anthony Rumble Johnson. So he was detained. He was released on a $500 bond, and he's expected to show up to court on June 8th to respond to the charges. This is a Class D felony in Connecticut, so that could be up to 5 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. Hopefully, we won't get to that. But man, come on, Johnson.
You're a professional fighter. You have sponsorships. You make money fighting in a cage. You can't buy a fucking plane ticket? What the fuck?
It was less than $500 too, so it's not like it was a huge amount that he needed to put on somebody else's expense. It was only a couple $100, but hey man, we only know one side of the story. We don't know what really happened, but I mean, this is a weird situation.
Yeah, well, let's see how it plays out. I don't know.
All right, so one more bit of news before we move on to the upcoming UFC 262 this weekend. Stipe says that he wants to go up to 250 to fight Francis for the trilogy fight. Do you think that's a good idea?
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I just question how hungry he really is. I feel like he was champion, but he never wanted to be champion in a way. Like he wanted to be the best, but I don't think he liked all the extra stuff, the media, the everything that comes with being a UFC heavyweight champion. So I honestly thought he might retire after, but I could only see him doing big fights. So maybe the Francis trilogy, maybe a John Jones fight.
Yeah.
I just don't know his appetite for anything other than that.
I agree. He might not have the motivation. He was a champ. He's the most winning heavyweight champion, the most title defenses. Speaking of John Jones said he was open to the idea of fighting Stipe, but I think only to defend his belt. I don't think he wants to fight Stipe if there's no belt attached to it. I don't know. I don't think Stipe should go into that. I was saying going into their second match that I think his chin is gone. I think Francis has gotten a little bit too good. I didn't think that Stipe was going to win at all in that second fight. For the trilogy, we did see that Stipe came in heavier for the DC fight, and that gave him good results. But, DC was a smaller fighter and a wrestler, whereas Francis is a big, bad striker. So the dynamics, I feel like, where the size and weight is going to be a little bit different. But even if he goes up to 250 or even the weight limit of 265, I think Francis is just too big and too strong for Stipe.
So if Stipe goes up to 250, that means maybe he'll take a punch better or something. But you're not going to win that way against Francis. You're beating Francis by out-wrestling him, by holding him down. But can you really do that at 250? Do you have the cardio to do that at 250? Are you as quick at 250 than when you're 235 or 240, whatever you are? I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea, but
I agree.
I'm sitting here and he's fighting, right? So,
I mean, I don't think he should go for that trilogy fight, in my opinion, at all, regardless of the weight that he comes in at. Again, I don't see Stipe winning that fight. I think Stipe's chin is gone, and I think Francis is making all the right moves in the gym.
I mean, but what does he have to lose?
His brain. His speech is already halfway gone. We need a translator whenever he's doing any interviews or anything. So, hopefully it doesn't get worse.
It starts out that way, and then I feel like I get used to it, and then I start understanding him midway through an interview.
It starts to descramble itself in your brain. All right, Pulat, UFC 262 is this weekend. Charles Oliveira is taking on Michael Chandler for the UFC Lightweight belt. It's going to be this Saturday. The pay-per-view begins at 10 p.m. There's some big names on this card. It's going to be pretty exciting. Just to read off some names on the prelims. We have Christos Giago taking on Sean Soriano. Kevin Aguilar making a return against Tucker Lutz. Gina Mazzani taking on Priscilla Koshera. That is all going to be on the early prelims. And on the regular prelim card, we have Jordan Wright taking on Jimmy Piquet. Andrea Lee taking on Antonina Shevchenko. That's Valentina's sister. Lando Venata is taking on Mike Grundy. This should be a very exciting fight as well. I'm a big fan of Lando. I think he's
Lando always brings it.
He's a very exciting fight to watch, a very exciting featherweight. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in for that fight. And the last fight on the prelims is going to be Jacare Souza making a fight against Andre Muniz. Souza's another guy that really needs a win bad. He's coming off a few losses, and his age is pretty up there. So the end of his career could be close, especially if he doesn't get his hand raised this weekend.
He's a legend, though. Love watching
Legend.
him fight. Good everywhere, standing, on the ground, jiu-jitsu. So hopefully he gets this one done.
I was in the building when he fought Chris Weidman at Madison Square Garden, and holy shit, did the crowd go crazy when he was coming out. Even though they were all cheering for Weidman and the American fans, when he came out, like you saw the respect that he got from like the real fight fans. It's like it's a legend walking down.
While we're on this topic, I wasn't on before, but Chris Weidman's legendary. I know we didn't speak about this.
That was fucking brutal, man. I can't believe that.
Damn.
It's crazy. And it's crazy how the last time that happened in the UFC, he was on the other end of that kick. So it's just, I don't know, the irony, the karma, whatever you want to call it, is just insane.
I was watching it live and my leg hurt so bad just from watching it. Like I felt it in my bone.
I can't imagine that kind of pain. I know he started doing some kind of physical therapy. I do follow him on Instagram. He seemed to do some kind of recovery work. So it's not going to be an easy recovery, but we're hoping it's a smooth one. No speed, hopefully no speed bumps for him. And he's another guy we'd love to see back in there.
Shout out to Weidman. Hopefully he gets well. I think he's a friend of Johnny's father.
He is. Yep. Grandpa's barbershop.
Shout out.
All right. So then on the main card for this weekend, we got a lot of great fights. Matt Schnell is taking on Rogério Bontorin. Shane Burgos is going to be taking on Edison Barbosa. This is going to be
scrap. That's a scrap.
Fight of the night contender. Yep. Absolutely. I'm excited for that one. Who do you have?
I got Edson.
Edson? I agree.
He pulls it out.
I agree. I think he's a lot more of a technical striker. Shane Burgos is a tough guy, but I think Edison's a lot more strategic and tactical. I think he needs to get his hand raised. He's another OG that's had a unlucky, last few fights. So hopefully he can turn his career around because I would love to see him again. He
just resigned with the UFC. Also happy that he's staying around. I thought he was going to go to like Bellator or something, but it's a good thing that they got him back because he's always exciting. Always brings it.
Yep, and I mean we've seen him get older, but his striking has not slowed down at all. His speed is still there, and
that spinning kick is deadly, deadly.
One of the best UFC highlight reels ever, man.
Terry Adam.
All right, after that we have Caitlin Chukagian taking on Vivian Araujo, and then we have the co-main event of the evening. Tony Ferguson is taking on Beniel Dariush. This is going to be a lot on the line for Tony here. He's coming off a few losses. He's taking on a very tough competitor in Beniel Dariush. The guy is tough. He's not going to be a walk in the park for Tony. How do you see this one going?
I think Tony pulls it out. Daryush has been on a tear lately, but by the way, I don't know if this is true or not. I read it. I don't know how true it is. I heard that Diego's coach or manager, whatever, is going to be in Tony's corner.
I heard that he was trying to be. I don't know if that was final. I did see that there were rumors about that. And I mean, if he gets in Tony's corner,
that's too much crazy in one corner.
Yeah, it's gonna be an explosion. I don't know. I really hope that's not the case. I mean, I'm gonna lose a lot of respect for Tony if that's the case. Tony is another one of those crazy guys who, he's not normal, but that's exactly what you love Tony for. But I can't imagine what would happen to Tony if he starts turning into Diego Sanchez.
Yeah, but Tony needs this win, though. Tony needs a win bad. And if he gets this win, there's big fights for him ahead in the division.
Absolutely. But look, Beniel Dariush is tough. Tony is we have seen him get some knockouts, but it's usually that unorthodox, those spinning elbows, those unusual Muay Thai strikes. Beniel Dariush can take a punch. He's very, very hard to knock out, and he delivers a pretty badass punch. My only, critique on Beniel Dariush is I feel like he doesn't move as well as he should. I feel like he takes a lot of unnecessary damage, especially in his last two fights. I feel like with just some more head movement, I feel like he could have avoided a lot of damage and put himself in a better situation. For Tony Ferguson, I think he was going to have to look for an urgent takedown and keep the fight on the ground as long as he can, because I think standing up with Beniel is going to be a threat for him, especially seeing how his last few fights went.
Yeah, they're both crazy, so the crazy is going to come out of this fight. But yeah, I think if Tony can pull this one out, big fight, maybe him and Islam, August, September, main event somewhere. Yeah,
That
it's a
would be
big
amazing.
fight.
That would be amazing. I think that's the best case scenario on this fight. Islam is another dog climbing up this division quietly. But yeah, I'm rooting for Tony. I hope he wins. He really needs this win. El Kakui, I mean, champ shit only. Let's get that W.
Let's do it.
The main event, Charles Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler. This is a big fight. For those that are unaware, the lightweight belt at the UFC has been vacant since Khabib Nurmagomedov last defended against Justin Gaethje, which was, I think, about coming on to a year now that it's been vacant. There's been a lot of different people trying to get the chance at the title. I'm very glad that Charles Oliveira is in the mix. I think if the UFC gave someone else the title opportunity, that would have been a big fuck up on their part. Charles Oliveira is on a huge streak. Out of any ranked guy right now, he has the longest streak, the most dominant streak. They're all finishes. They're all against. Oh, not all. A lot of them are finishes. They're all against.
Yeah, he's finishing people. He's putting him.
He is a savage, and for a long time, I've been saying this is my guy in the division. Like, I know that the top of lightweight is stacked, the top 5, but this guy deserves to be in the conversation as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought Oliveira versus Poirier probably would have been the most deserved, but
absolutely,
Dustin taking the Conor fight makes sense, and Chandler's just riding that wave, and I think he gets it done. I think Chandler's coming in hot. I think he puts him away.
And going back to what you said earlier about Cowboy, when you're in good terms with the UFC, it pays dividends. We saw Michael Chandler before he even had a fight in the UFC. He offered to be an alternate for the Poirier-Conor fight. And for those that don't understand what that means, it's not just showing up and stepping into the ring in case one of them are injured. You still have to go to camp. Yeah, you have to make it wait. So you're basically preparing for a fight, but not actually fighting. And, for those that have trained will tell you, training for the fight is much harder usually than the fight itself. So we saw he kept his word. He showed up on weight, stepped on the scale. Fortunately, the event didn't fall out, so he didn't need to step in. But, now we see that after his first win, he's already getting a title shot. And I think that speaks a lot to the relationship that he's developing with the UFC early on.
Yeah, for sure. He's like Dana's adopted stepson right now. He's always like willing to do whatever Dana wants. So it's working out for him.
That's great, Matt. I like his personality a lot. He's very humble. He's very articulate. Like, he's educated. He's not just some guy that's coming onto the UFC roster, just, talking shit, popping off. Like, if it was Dylan Dennis or Jake Paul, they would just come into the UFC and start talking shit about every guy on every weight division. He's actually very humble. He respects the fighters that he's going up against. I like the guy a lot. I think he's a really great guy and a great addition for the UFC lightweight roster.
Yeah, I mean, and it's never in a boring fight. It's always, he's good everywhere, wrestling, striking. He's built like a brick. So I love watching him fight. I watched him in Bellator all the time. So.
Absolutely, yeah. He's a beast. How do you see this one going, though?
I think Chandler gets it done.
You got Chandler?
I think he puts him away.
I'm going to be rooting. I don't know who I think is going to win, but I want to be rooting for Oliveira. Like I said, he's one of these guys that I think he's on like an 8-fight winning streak right now. No one else in the division is on that kind of a streak, especially against the names that he's been fighting. I think he's the most deserving of a title, but Chandler's not going to be an easy fight either. This is where I'm a little bit on the fence because Chandler has a wrestling base and Oliveira has a jiu-jitsu base. So typically for the sizes where Oliveira is a little bit taller and longer than Michael Chandler, you would expect kind of Chandler to take him down and kind of implement ground and pound because that's his style. But
Oliveira is good off his back.
Oliveira is good off his back. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see if they keep it standing, I think Michael Chandler definitely has much better chances. We saw how he knocked Dan Hooker out. Like, it was one punch just to the moon knockout. Like, it was insane. It could possibly happen to Oliveira as well. Oliveira doesn't have the best chin in the world. He has been knocked out. He is a bit skinny of a guy, especially compared to Chandler. So I don't know. I feel like it's going to come down to if Chandler wants to keep it standing or not. In my opinion, I think he should keep it standing for a striking advantage.
So yeah, but here's the thing. Usually when it's a wrestler against a grappler, the wrestler doesn't want to take the grappler down. And the grappler doesn't want to start wrestling with a wrestler. So it ends up being a striking battle.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think that favors into Chandler.
That's a good point. We saw that with Colby and Usman. And there was another fight after that. I forgot what it was. 2 grapplers and basically negated the wrestling and the whole fight ended up standing up. So it's actually a great point. So I don't know.
I'm predicting round 3 knockout.
Round 3 knockout?
Round 3 knockout.
All right. We're going to give you a special shout out on the Instagram feed if you get that right. So I'm bookmarking that.
This card took some hits, though. The Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards.
Unfortunately, yeah.
And then we had Shabazian against... Shabazian was supposed to fight...
Hermanson,
there you go.
Jack Hermanson.
Jack the Joker Hermanson.
Hey, I think that was a dodged bullet for Shabazian. I think that Hermanson...
They're fighting next week.
Good luck to both. I think Hermanson's gonna walk through him. I think he's too strong. Edmund is good potential. He's a good young athlete, but at least based on the last 2 fights that I've seen from him, I think he does need to make a lot of corrections before he can step in with some of the big dogs like Hermanson.
But he's training with the GOAT, Edmund Tarverdian.
Formerly training Ronda Rousey, the Armenian circle over there out in Cali. So, hopefully they're putting in work.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
Shout out to Kayla Harrison, the GOAT.
Kayla with another win.
And off topic, not MMA, but shout out to my New York Knicks. We're going to the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
I know you in the building a lot.
Yeah, I used to be. So I used to work at Madison Square Garden for a few years, working with the Knicks and the Rangers. So great experience, but unfortunately got laid off during COVID. So I'm not there anymore, but I'm glad to see the Knicks are doing better.
It's been way too long.
Way too long. And every year they've been saying, next year is going to be the year. I think the year's finally come. So let's go Knicks, baby.
Go Knicks.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to round 24 of Inside the Clinch. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. On Instagram, we are Inside the Clinch MMA. On Twitter, we are ITC MMA Podcast. On Facebook and YouTube, we are Inside the Clinch MMA Podcast. Thank you, guys, and catch you next week.
Thank you for having me. We out.